So, I like going to thrift stores because even though usually you find crap there, sometimes you get lucky, and I actually found a ton of cool stuff today. Not only did I find like an arcade core, which seems very well built, and I might actually convert it to a USB joystick or something because it looks like I could use it to like play fighting games and shmups on my PC. But I also found a laser copier, which was like from 2012 for only $6, and those things cost over $150 new. And I also found this nice Newegg.com cap, which even says, "Once you know, you Newegg" on the side. And if you don't know what Newegg is, it's this amazing website which lets you get nice technology for good prices. Kind of like, imagine Amazon, but with computer parts mostly. So, I'm at the thrift store, and the first thing I see when I come in is this box sitting behind the counter, because many thrift stores around here have counters where they store jewelry and expensive stuff. And it says here, VS VirtualStation. And it comes with a console, 2 joysticks, light gun, AV cable, AC adapter, and it was only $10, so I'm like, why not take it home and see what this is? Now, I think I know what it is. I have a good feeling it's a Famiclone, but it has a gun, like, you know, fake gun, light gun, and the controller. But it says on here, high definition graphics, high quality sound, cool finish joypad controller, and light gun. So this is supposed to be not just a normal joypad and light gun, but a cool finish one. It has fast and responsive gameplay. We'll see how that claim holds up when I hook it up and try it. And it connects to the TV, which is a given. And of course, it even has this cool 3D rendered dude on the packaging, just standing there holding the controller like, yo dude, let's play some PlayStation 2 up in this, man. Like, I've got Tony Hawk, I got Grand Theft Auto, I got Madden. Let's plug this in and let's play it, man. But of course, the controller on here does not seem to have any analog stick. And of course, the sides of the box say the usual. But it says here, the ultimate experience in video entertainment. Oh man, so this has got to be ultimate. This has to be. If it says, welcome to the world of gaming, the ultimate experience. This could not lie, right? And it has the console, the laser light gun. So not just any light gun, this is a laser light gun. The joysticks or controller, the adapter and the AV cable, and another cool dude, just 3D rendered standing there. And of course, you've got the UL symbol, which clearly means this will not burn your house down, right? It says you shouldn't give it to a 0 or 3-year-old, and it really does look like a sad onion. And you got some arrows and a recycle symbol. So let's take the thing out of the box and experience the VirtualStation. Now, this is in thrift store condition because like, yeah, I think my sinuses are already starting to, I don't know, close or something on me. They're irritated now. And this is not coming out of the box very well. Let me open the other side up of this VirtualStation. This box is just so torn up. Like, the only thing worse than a box that's old and worn out is when it's from a Chinese gaming console. Yeah, it's coming out now, finally. This is so in here, like, holy. And now you have the contents of it in your face. Oh, and there's another thing in here, too. So what we have right here are several things. This is a Famicom cartridge, but it's a bootleg one. And as you can see, it talks about how it has entertainment, action, adventure, sports, and educational, and how it's a multi-game cartridge. And there's a second one included free. I mean, it's nice that I got two that look the same. I don't know if they're the same games on them or not. I'm going to assume they are, but it's Chinese bootleg stuff, so you can never know. So, let's take a look at this. This is a 9-volt DC power adapter. It says risk of shock, made in China, and it's rated for half an amp, 550 milliamps, 120 volts, 60 hertz, and it seems like the center pin on this is actually negative, which is pretty unusual for like many game systems and stuff, because usually the center pin is positive, but on this, the outer pin is positive. So if you were to plug in like another charger, or I mean power adapter, not charger, if you were to plug in another adapter to this thing, be careful, because you might end up plugging in the wrong polarity and you might fry something. So what I've got here is real cheap, lightweight, tinny AV cables, and 2 controllers. These are VirtualStation, interactive. It says interactive on here, which means it's so cool. And they look just like the Sony DualShock controllers. However, I doubt half these buttons do what they do. I mean, these buttons, I never knew that old Nintendo had shoulder buttons. This controller came later, years later. Second controller, the buttons are labeled A, B, C, D, and not A, B, and AB Turbo. And you've got this, which looks like a tall version of a PS1, and it has a cartridge slot right here. The PS1 never had it, and it has a warning label saying, do not remove the cartridge from the console when it's on. Now, the build quality of this thing is cheap Chinese pull toy smelling plastic. Okay, sorry about that there. What happened was, this box is so damn musty that I started coughing. Because I tried inhaling it, like smelling this, to see if it smelled like Chinese pull toy plastic, and it did. But it was also musty as shit, so I started coughing and sneezing. I mean, this smells like musty pull toy plastic. Because it's been in this box. Now, maybe if I let this air out, it'll smell less like musty stuff. But it'll still be pull toy-ish, because that's what this cheap crap Chinese plastic smells like. And the circuit board doesn't even take up the whole device. So this is really cheap Chinese plastic right here. And I've got the gun. Now this looks kind of like, it looks based off of the guns you'd find in Namco games. It kind of looks like a gun con, or the arcade version of that, like what they used in Time Crisis. That's what this kind of looks like. But it looks like it was modeled off a gun from an arcade light gun game. And I can see the thing back there, which is used to send the signal. But this clearly does not look like a laser to me. It doesn't. And I'm going to put this all aside, and let's take a look at the system itself. It looks like a PlayStation 1, but raised. Now on the front, you have 2 ports, which are the normal Famiclone controller ports. And there's a power button here, and there seems to be the reset button over there. So the button layout is kind of like what you'd have on a PS1, except reset would be the eject button on a normal PS1. But it is thicker than a PS1. And I'll actually get, I mean, this is even thicker than a laptop is. I mean, this is about as thick as like the original PlayStation. And yet all you have here is a power port, and spaced far away are a video port and an audio port. So here is this system, and I'm going to be reviewing the games on it now, because now that I've taken a look at the hardware, it's time to review that. So right here, I've got the Famiclone hooked up, I've got the cartridge plugged into it, and I tried removing the cartridge, and apparently this is a straight up Famiclone where there's no built-in games or any of that. You have to plug the cartridge into the console, So, luckily this means that you can plug any sort of game into it and it'll work just fine if it's a Famicom game. But this also means there's no weird built-in games like there are on the Power Player Super Joys. So, you get this title screen, it says 101 games, and there are, in fact, 101 unique games. The user interface I like because you can just use the A button to select and B button to go back. And it has a lot of the normal Famiclone games, for example, 10-gen Tetris. Now, of course, most of the title screens are hacked somewhat, so the copyrights aren't there. So, I can play Tetris, and I can play a lot of games, and I'll just say this, surprisingly, this Famiclone cartridge is actually pretty good. Compared to the Power Player Super Joy games, which were, you know, a bunch of crap because, like, a lot of them didn't work or had issues. Most of the games here are working, they're not hacked up or anything, and they actually do work, like the originals. I mean, most of the games in here do, unlike the other Famiclone I tried. Which is pretty nice. And, of course, I don't think you want to see me play Tetris, so I'm going to reset the system. And luckily, this does not have, it does not reset the video like the other one did. So it doesn't reset the capture card. And there are a bunch of Famicom games that did not come to America on here, like Famicom Othello. Well, actually, this game did come to America, but I think it was called something else, but you've got the Famicom versions. And I'm gonna name myself something, because, you know, just whatever. I'm gonna name myself something. See if I can name. Oh, I can't name myself Lord. That sucks. So, as you can see, I can play Othello on here, and I can play a lot of Famicom games. They're all the normal Famicom games, nothing too interesting. But there are some weird-ass games I found on here. And let me just show you the ones I found that were weird. So, a lot of these look like the normal Famicom games. There's no Nintendo games, curiously, because I think at one point Nintendo must have told these companies, or gone after them, for playing Nintendo games on there, so there's, like, no Nintendo games on here, just third-party games. Now, of course, this isn't too much of a problem, because there were a lot of third-party games released on the NES, but you have some weird ones, like, I'm just gonna pick some random ones. I've not played this. So I'm guessing this is just Helicopter Shmup 420, I'm guessing. There's a lot of generic Famicom games on here, and not really many notable ones. And a lot of mediocre ones, too, that have aged extremely poorly, like this one. I mean, I tried hitting the start button, it didn't even let me pause, like the great one there. Let's go to page, there were some interesting ones. Yeah, I think this was the game I found. Yeah, this is actually kind of an interesting Galaga clone with, like, parallax scrolling and everything. And there's actually, like, ammo and stuff. The only issue is, like, the sound effects feel like they were ripped from Galaga, but this is actually quite a fun game, considering, like, the obscure Famicom games that are on here. Like, because there's a bunch of obscure Famicom games on here, too. There's also a bunch of crap ones that haven't aged well, but this is, like, one of the exceptions. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised if I find at least one or two good games on here that weren't, like, released in America. Like this one, for example. It seems like a game that was pretty ahead of its time. I'm kind of shit at, like, this because you have to, like, really move around on, like, Galaga. So let me look at some other games on here. There's also the other usual games, like Millipede, and of course. So this actually has a quite good selection of games when you consider, like, this cartridge. I mean, for a for Famiclone cartridge, this is actually pretty good, considering a lot of the crap you have to deal with. I mean, look, see, these games are the originals. They don't seem to be screwed with in any way besides deleting the copyright. I mean, most of them, that is.
but it's actually, all in all, for what this is. I paid only $10 for this. I actually got 2 copies of this cartridge. This is actually a pretty good Famiclone cartridge, but it seems to have a lot of the essential third-party games. Which is crazy, because nowadays Nintendo has no third-party. Kind of makes you want to go back to the day when Nintendo had third-party. I never played too much Millipede. I mostly played Centipede on the Windows 95 collection, so I'm kind of good at this game. I mean, I played a lot of this, and I got killed. So I'm just going to hit the reset button, since I don't think anybody wants to watch me play Centipede too long. I honestly think this is a great multi-card, but there's some weird shit in here, like infant school. Some Japanese text. Some scantily clad, girl. 1-player, 2-player. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. And I'm guessing this is where it gets the name Infant School from, because it just says Infant School here, and then I get these real horrible, like, eye-destroying graphics that look just absolutely ugly. I mean, holy crap. But what makes it even worse is, like, what am I supposed to be looking at here? Like, what is this? Like, you can tell Nintendo probably would not have let this game be released in America, but dear God. I mean, what is the point of this game? I mean, I know it's supposed to be a platformer, but the theme is just... What the hell am I playing? Like, this is like some ROM, like when you're browsing those ROM sites and you find some real weird shit. That's kind of what this is like when you find some truly weird shit and you're like, what did I just find? Like, why? That's enough internet for today. That's what this is like. It's like when you're browsing the internet and you just find the weirdest crap ever and you're like, that's enough internet for today, people. And I don't even get the real point of this game. It's kind of, I guess you're supposed to go up. I don't know. The graphics are just too damn bright. Like, especially on this monitor. It's pretty hard to look at. And I don't even get what the theme of this is. It's just weirding me out. Let me try some other games on here. Let's see Cross. So what is this? Like, what is this, whatever that game was on the Genesis, or Road Rash, but like, as an NES game, I'm guessing? I don't know. There's a lot of games that, like, I never know about. Like, they picked a lot of real obscure arcade games, I'm guessing, and put them on this. Because I don't really... I've never played half these, I've never known half these. But, geez, there's a lot of games on here, like, holy shit. Like, a lot of obscure games, probably Famiclone, like, that were not released in America, on the NES at least. But... And some of them don't even have, like, the start button coded in. This is just weird. I mean, I never expected I'd find something like this at a thrift store, but... let me just play a few minutes. And there's some other Japan-only games like Macross. And, most of these games seem to be like the Famicom versions, obviously. But, here you go. A lot of these games. Here's one more weird-ass game I found on this cartridge. Firefighter, or a bunch of weird Japanese text. Let's play normal. I would not know the origin of a lot of these games, because I am not familiar with the Famicom library. But I'm gonna guess that's what the point of this game is, to be a firefighter, I'm guessing. Or you bounce around, like, bounce the guy off. So, yeah. That's what you do. I think this is like Breakout or something, but like as a firefighter, it's weird as shit. I don't even know. Gotta love Japan making these weird Famicom games. Because that's what this game kind of is. I mean, jeez, why do I find these games? Like, but that's what you find on a Famiclone for I don't know how much money. That's what you find on a Famiclone for just $10 at the thrift store. That you bought mostly to play Famicom games, because I know there's a few stores where I live that sell Famicom games. The music's actually kind of decent in this game, though, to be honest. But I kind of get the feeling it's based off some anime. I don't know. Because it's... I don't know, man. I've just played a lot of I mean, I know that they've put a bunch of anime-based games in these Famiclones before. I kind of find it funny, though, considering how this was targeted at the US market, that, like, why would they put this in, like, a Famiclone for the US market? Like, Japanese random games. I'm guessing they must have wanted some games, considering how... I get the feeling that Nintendo must have, I don't know, went against these Famiclone makers. I get the good feeling that they must have, because why else would they put a bunch of obscure Famicom games in here? Because I just don't get why they would do that, but yeah. I'm just gonna reset the system now, because there's nothing really else I could talk about. Most of these games are just bog standard Famicom games. There's not much else to talk about, really. Nothing too weird on here. Like, I played a bunch of games on here. And let me just play one more then, I guess. Sasa. Okay. So, oh my god. What am I supposed to do? Don't you hate when many of these games, like, give you no clue whatsoever on what the hell you're supposed to do? And you can't tell if your game's broken or what? That's what this is like. I mean, I know some people complain about games these days, not telling you what to do. Jesus Christ, this game's just sitting there playing music. Oh, man, I just hit the start button and it doesn't even tell you if it stopped. Oh, it just changes music. Wow. Screw this game. I'm just gonna turn off the... I'm gonna set the Famiclone one more time. Yeah, I don't get an idea on... I don't get any idea on how you're even supposed to play these with this, but... There you go. Here's a Famiclone that I got for $10 at the used game store. It's okay, maybe if I'm more interested in the Famicom library, I'll actually get an actual Famicom, but... Until then, I'll have to deal with this, because it's at least better than that Super Joy piece of crap, which isn't a controller, while this actually has nice, comfortable controllers that actually work, which is a massive improvement over the Super Joy. So honestly, this is a half-decent Famiclone. I mean, the controllers, I might as well mention, are very comfortable and easy to use. And did I mention the shoulder buttons actually work as NES buttons? So in all, this is actually a pretty decent Famiclone for $10. And that's all I have to say, really. Thanks for watching. Subscribe